Resolution number 21-R-2023. Remote participation will be allowed. The meeting link has been provided on the town's website and designated posting place 24 hours prior to this meeting. I'd like to remind everyone present, both in person and virtually, of the town's general guidelines for public comment at open meetings and public hearings. The guidelines are available online and on the entry table. There are 2 public comment opportunities on the agenda for persons in attendance at Town Hall to address the board. The first is limited to items on the agenda, and the second public comment opportunities allow any subject, whether it is on the agenda or not, to be addressed. If you have comments regarding the public hearing, comments will be taken during that time. Melissa, roll call, please.
Mayor Whitlow.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris.
Here.
Trustee Adams.
Here.
Trustee Cartwright.
Here.
Trustee Crane.
Here.
Trustee Hagan. Trustee Sherens.
Here.
Mayor Whitlow, today is March 9th, 2026. You have a full quorum.
Thank you very much. Please join me in a moment of silence for the United States Reservists who were killed in the line of duty last week, and for our former mayor, Richard Macomber, who we just learned was passed last month. So let's just take a few moments to be. Thank you very much for your time. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
America, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're moving on to review and approve agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda tonight?
Yes, please.
Yes.
I would like to add an item at the end of our meeting. I'd like to add a workshop to discuss economic development, please.
Okay. Thank you very much. We will add that to the agenda for after elected official reports. Is that all right?
Yep.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Sherens.
Yes.
Trustee Adams.
Yes.
Trustee Cartwright.
Yes.
Trustee Crane.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. Motion carries. We have an agenda for this evening. Next will be our town manager's report. Ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, trustees. You have my report. There's a couple items I'd like to add. First of all, I think most of you know we had a fatal accident on I-25 early this morning in the work zone. Just remember 25 mile an hour through that work zone. They are ticketing. They are sending tickets in the mail, and you will, after the end of March, they'll become live, but just kind of punctuating the importance of going slowly through that work zone. Even when there's no active construction, the work zone still marked. I also wanted to mention that Caitlin Newbanks was promoted to rec supervisor last week, so we're really proud of that. Another homegrown product moving on up in the organization. And now she vacated her position and it's being advertised for a rec coordinator 1 or 2. So we're excited to hear that. It looks like April 4th is going to be the ribbon cutting for O'Reilly's. That's the same day as Coffee with the Mayor. So we've tentatively set it for noon. We have to check with them, but just kind of keep that. We'll get a calendar request out so you guys know that formally. The project's coming along great. They're within like 3 weeks of a CO. So, and then finally, I did want to let you know, but the Highland Lake West project that was going through for a comp plan amendment, they've withdrawn that application. That was supposed to come to Planning Commission this month, but the applicant chose to withdraw that. So that won't be heard. But Planning Commission is still on. There's several other applications being reviewed at that. And that's all I have as supplement to my report.
All right, questions, comments for Helen tonight? All right, thank you very much for your report. We'll move on to our informational item. It is Third and Welker Interstate update by our town engineer, Public Works Director, Erica Rasmussen. Ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and trustees. I've got a quick update for you on the Third and Welker intersection project, and Marisol's gonna pull up my presentation for me. Quick review. Oh, thank you. Just quick review. I think everybody's very familiar, but what the scope of the project is, we've added right and left turn lanes on all legs of the intersection, including the addition of medians on all legs of the intersection. We've made a number of sidewalk connections. And just by the way, we'll be making the final connection on the school frontage later this year as part of the Safe Routes to School project. But sidewalk connections on all other sides. Included some regional drainage improvements, a new traffic signal, which is now functional, and we resurfaced 2 of the railroad crossings and a variety of utility relocations and undergrounding. As you know, we did issue a scope reduction to our original contractor. We'd made numerous attempts to try to compel them to perform, and as we've discussed before, that original contract completion date was 1st of October of last year, and so they were behind schedule. And we are assessing liquidated damages as part of that. Our town financial grant obligations have been met, and so we felt that we could issue that scope reduction, utilize our existing contractors for the remaining work, and not have any further obligations as far as our grant was concerned. And that was about a $1.2 million reduction. We're still working on the details of exactly that number, but it's in that ballpark. And the benefit of doing it that way, it does mean that their contractual obligations remain in place in terms of completing the punch list, maintaining their warranty, and they still have to complete the closeout and final documentation with the state. So as I mentioned, we're going to utilize some of our existing contracts and vendors, Burnt Mountain for the concrete, Martin Marietta for the asphalt, and we have a couple minor utilities and materials that we're going to procure outside of those 2 contracts. And obviously our priority is let's get the thing done as soon as we possibly can. And I think you've seen we've made some great progress out there in the last couple of weeks. The concrete is essentially complete. They only have a couple more pours left, so I would say it's even better than 95% complete. We'll do that final programming on the signal. So there are cameras on the signal that count traffic, and so that information is being collected, and then we can do the programming, and we'll actually turn the signals to their full functionality with red, yellow, and green based on that information. We've got the asphalt paving, striping, and signage that's scheduled for spring break, which is next week. So hoping the weather holds for us, and it'd be really nice to just wrap that whole thing up. It's about 2 days worth of paving. Some landscaping remains, primarily that is on the various business frontages. There's not a whole lot in the public right away. And then our final project closeout. And so with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Trustee Adams. I'd like to think we're around first.
Quick question. So you say we're going to be turning on the traffic signal. Will the left-hand turn lanes be deconed at that point? Or are they still, okay, so everything will be open when it goes live.
Yeah, and that the reason they're not open right now is for that very reason, because there's no control of that left turn
Gotcha.
arrow yet.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments?
Thought it was on.
Nope.
Hi, Erica.
Hi.
I need to ask this question because if I don't, my wife will hurt me. The signals, are they what we call smart signals? In other words, will they detect that there is no traffic coming and that they will light up your pass?
Yes, and so in the case like we had this morning where there was considerable amount of traffic because of the interstate shutdown, it will also recognize the opposite, that there's considerable stack in a north-south direction, for example, and it will give more time to that direction than the normal program.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
A question came up at the Coffee with the Mayor this last Saturday about the metal cutouts in the concrete. Can you explain that to us on how they're going to be completed?
Sure. So those are the tree grates. And so part of that landscaping is there would be a tree at each of those locations, and there's a metal grate that sits inside that frame with a hole in the middle where the tree would grow, but you could still walk over the top of it. And it gets water that way as well.
Thank you. Okay,
Yes.
we'll give that answer to the folks from the coffee. So thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much for the update. Okay, we'll move on to our proclamation tonight. It's National Agriculture Day, March 24th, 2026, and I've asked Mayor Pro Tem Harris to read the proclamation.
All right. Proclamation National Agriculture Day, March 24, 2026. Whereas the Agriculture Council of America, ACA, announced March 24, 2026 will be National Agriculture Day with the theme of Together We Grow. Whereas agriculture provides almost everything we eat, use, and wear on a daily basis. And whereas we recognize the invaluable contributions of American farmers, farm workers, ranchers, fishers, foresters, and other agricultural workers who have practiced their craft for generations and touch lives of Americans every day. And whereas America's agricultural workers serve as stewards of the land, ensure the safety of health of animals, plants, and people, and strengthen our rural communities with economic opportunities. And whereas the town of Mead supports our local agricultural community that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserves our community. Now, therefore, Colleen Whitlow, Mayor of the town of Mead, do hereby proclaim March 24, 2026 as National Agriculture Day and encourage all residents to support our agricultural community and their contributions to our economy. Given under her hand and seal of the town of Mead, Colorado on this 9th day of March, 2026.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the signing of this proclamation?
I make a motion to approve National Agricultural Day, March 24th, 2026.
A second.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please, Melissa.
Trustee Crane,
Yes.
trustee Cartwright,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
trustee Schranz, trustee Adams,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes, thank you very much. We'll move on to public comment. The board welcomes public comment at this time for any item on the agenda. We will also take comments on items not on the agenda during second public comment, item number 12. Please remember that public comment is not intended to be a question and answer session, and the board will listen to your comments and take them into consideration. All comments should be directed to the Board of Trustees and not to specific individuals. If you wish to speak during the first public comment period, please adhere to the town's general guidelines. Please start by stating your full name and address for the record. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the Board of Trustees. If you are representing a group, you will have 5 minutes. We ask that all speakers and audience members treat one another with respect and dignity. Let's ensure we maintain a welcoming environment and avoid any actions that could be distracting. Ms. Peters Garcia, do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
Not this public comment.
Okay. Is there anyone here that present would like to approach the podium to be heard by the board? All right, we'll move on to our consent agenda. The consent agenda contains items which are considered routine and are approved with one motion and vote. I want to recognize staff for putting together these items and the board for reviewing them ahead of tonight's meeting. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as is.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Melissa.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
trustee Adams,
Yes.
trustee Crane,
Yes.
trustee Schranz.
Yes.
Trustee Cartwright,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes, thank you very much. The consent agenda is approved, and thank you, staff, again for putting this together for us. Next, we'll move on to our Mead Liquor Licensing Authority. We need a motion to close out the Board of Trustees meeting and convene as the Mead Liquor Licensing Authority. Will someone please make that motion?
I move to close out the current meeting and reopen as the Mead Liquor Licensing Authority.
Second.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please, Melissa.
Trustee Schranz.
Yes.
Trustee Crane,
Yes.
trustee Cartwright,
Yes.
trustee Adams,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes, Thank you. Motion carries. I call to order a public hearing, I call to order a public hearing of the Mead Liquor Licensing Authority on Monday, March 9th, 2026 at 7:35 PM. This is a public hearing for fermented malt beverage and wine license for Aged and Company. Ms. Strutt, are we ready to proceed on the application today?
Mayor, we're not ready to proceed today. The application does need a little more investigation. And we've talked to the applicant and their attorney, and we'd like the board to open and continue the hearing for 30 days. So if it would please the board to make a motion to open and continue the public hearing for Aged and Co. liquor application to a date certain, being April 13th, 2026 at 6:00 PM here at Town Hall.
Thank you very much. Will someone make the motion to open and continue the public hearing for Aged and Co. to a date certain, Monday, April 13th, 2026 at 6 PM here at Town Hall?
I will move to open and close the hearing for Aged and Co. Wine license to a date certain of April 13th, 2026 at 6 PM.
Second.
Just a point of clarification.
Open and continue.
Open and continue, not open and close. So sorry. Open and continue.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Second.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please, Melissa. It's okay.
Trustee Adams,
Yes.
trustee Schranz,
Yes.
trustee Crane,
Yes.
trustee Cartwright,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you. Now we'll need a motion to adjourn the Mead Liquor Licensing Authority and reconvene as the Board of Trustees. Will someone please make that motion?
I move to close our Mead Liquor Licensing Authority meeting and reopen our normal public meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Melissa.
Trustee Adams,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
trustee Schranz.
Yes.
Trustee Crane,
Yes.
trustee Cartwright,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. The time now is 7:37. I'll reconvene the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. Next, we will have a public hearing regarding the development standards for accessory dwelling units. For this hearing, we will first hear from staff. We will then take questions or comments from the public, followed by the trustees. I will open the public hearing. The time now is 7:38, and I will turn the podium over to Todd Bjerkes, our Community Development Director, and he will present our staff report. Sir?
Thank you, Mayor. Is out here is. The item before you this evening is Ordinance 1100, which are proposed text amendments to the Town of Mead Land Use Code for your consideration. The primary topics for these amendments are in regards to ADUs and submittal requirements. House Bill 241152 was signed into law in May of 2024, and municipalities had until June 30th of this last year to submit an accessory dwelling unit compliance report to DOLA, providing evidence that the municipality's land use code adheres to that House Bill. The House Bill made a determination that ADUs are, as a increase of housing supply, is a matter of mixed statewide and local concern. The House Bill also identified the character of agencies required to comply with the House Bill. So those that are over 1,000 people in population, those that are located within a regional metropolitan planning organization of at least 40,000, of which we're located in Dr. Cog. And then some of the primary requirements of the House Bill were to allow ADUs by right on any parcel. A single family detached is how our code describes it, but the legislation's term is single unit detached dwelling. Wherever those are allowed and constructed, ADUs by right should be allowed and constructed. Additionally, ADUs cannot be reviewed through a hearing process and instead are required to be administratively reviewed and approved. Some of the principal prohibitions 1152 placed on municipalities is parking requirements, limitations on those, where it can be located, certain sizes of the ADU. And municipalities were also barred from adopting regs that required owner occupancy. The town of Mead's existing ADU standards already complied with the majority of the House Bill's requirements. The only portion at odds with the House bill are the zoning districts in which ADUs are allowed. The second primary effort of the text amendments tonight is in regards to submittal requirements. For each type of land use entitlement, there are specific documents that are required for a review. The land use code identifies what format and quantity these documents are to be submitted. In some cases, parts of the submittal were to be submitted by hard copies and in binders. Digital files of those same documents were to be submitted on a compact disc, of which I cannot read that at my current setup upstairs. The town requires 24-inch by 36-inch submittals for plats, plans, CDs printed on paper. And for recordation, those plans then had to be printed on Mylar for original signature, original stamp, and then recording with the county. The ability for the applicant to create and revise those plans and the ability for town staff to review those plans has become more efficient thanks to technology progression, including digital formats, software for project management, new state laws allowing digital stamps and signatures, and then the county's ability to accept recordations via e-file services. In practice, the town has been adapting to these technologies as they become more readily available and effective. The land use code amendment this evening codifies that flexibility to determine what format of submittals is appropriate for that specific type of land use application. A quick overview of the Mead Land Use Code in Chapter 16 of the Mead Municipal Code. There are 16 chapters, or in Chapter 16, there are 16 articles that regulate and guide various parts of the development and entitlement process. Some of these chapters are entirely administrative. Some control the subdivision of land and the locations of certain uses. Other chapters are specifically created because it's a response to a state or a federal law that had been implemented and is completely, or for the most part, administered by them. The amendments proposed this evening pertain to two specific articles in the Land Use Code, Article 1, which is general provisions, and Article 3, which is zoning. And within those articles, three subsections are effective. 140 miscellaneous and 150 definitions in the general provisions article, and then the principal uses allowed table in the zoning regs. On this screen above is the existing table 3.1 allowed uses. And below is the proposed strike-throughs for deletion and underline for additions that are included with this text amendment. As you can see, the town currently allows ADUs within the RSF-E, RSF-1, DMU, and Ag zone districts. In the RSF-4 zoning district, ADUs may be approved, but only as a conditional use. In order to comply with the House bill, ADUs are required to be allowed on any parcel upon which a single unit detached dwelling is allowed and constructed. In the town's land use code, single-family detached residential units can be constructed on parcels within RSF-E, RSF-1, RMF-8, and RMF-14, DMU and Ag. So the revisions shown on the bottom table show those changes. The other area of the land use code that addresses ADUs is in section 150 definitions. The term accessory dwelling is revised to include the RMF-8 and the RMF-14 zone districts as bolded and underlined on the text on the screen. Transitioning over to submittal requirements, there are numerous references to mediums and quality, as I previously stated, throughout the land use code. Those are cleaned up in the land use code update that we're currently progressing through. But in order to allow the town to have the flexibility immediately, the town attorney's office has worked with staff to provide an all-encompassing path to modify those submittal requirements within the existing land use code. The ability to modify, reduce, waive, or approve alternatives to application submittal requirements is included, so long as there's no substantive change in approval standards or criteria. It doesn't alter or waive those standards or criteria. It's consistent with applicable state law and adheres to Weld County's clerk and recorder's recording requirements. According to the Mead Municipal Code, the Board of Trustees shall consider the proposed amendments against the 4 criteria listed on your screen and included in the AIS and ordinance. At least one of the 4 criteria are to be met, and the Board of Trustees is to determine if any of those have been met. The Planning Commission held a public hearing at their February 18th meeting and believes the text amendments meet criteria 2, 3, and 4 of the Mead Municipal Code. The Planning Commission adopted Resolution 01 PC 2026, which is included in your packet, recommending approval to the Board of Trustees for this amendments to the Land Use Code. Staff also believes that the amendments meet applicable criteria and recommends that the Board of Trustees adopt Ordinance 1100. So that concludes my presentation this evening. Happy to answer any questions following any public comment.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Now, this is the opportunity for the public to comment on this hearing. When you're recognized, please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes to address the board, and we ask that you please adhere to the town's general guidelines. Are there anyone here in the public that would like to comment at this public hearing? Okay, seeing none. Do any of the trustees have any comments or questions for staff? Oh, sorry. Trustee Schratz.
Todd, I need to get some clarification on some things. As an applicant applies to build an ADU in their space, so there is an application process
Correct.
that they have to fill. Do they have to, and are they required to submit construction plans to include all the necessary elements, i.e. sewer, electric, water, blah, blah, blah? So they just can't nail 2 tough sheds together
No,
and
they
call it
can't.
good.
No, there would be, depending on the type of ADU they're applying for, if it's a basement remodel, if it's new construction addition to the principal house, if it's a detached accessory building or like a garage with a flat above it, those all, for the most part, will require significant improvements. So we would require a building permit to come along with those, and then any of the necessary codes that are affected by the specific type of ADU that's applied for. And then our code also requires that water and sewer come off the principal house. They cannot have separate meters or separate services to that ADU.
Okay. Is that information available?
Yes,
So if I were to do that, I can come
Yeah,
to the
it's
town
in
and
our
get
code.
all that information?
correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we have a process in place that's easy enough to follow and provides the right information to people so we don't get into this push and shove later on
Sure.
on what is an ADU.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Very good.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Yep.
Trustee Cartwright.
You said basement? Does that mean it has to have a separate entrance and the like in order to be considered an ADU, or is just the improvement of a basement considered the possibility of an ADU?
That will be something that the Planning Commission and Board of Trustees will have to consider, what the definition of an ADU is, separate from what the state describes it as. I've seen some municipalities describe it as it has to have 3 major appliances, or it has to have a separate entrance, or it has to be physically separate from the principal structure. That needs to be better defined. And most codes need better definitions of those as well.
Okay.
But we'll follow the role of the state and advise you of that as we go through the land use code update.
Okay, thanks.
Trustee Chance.
So you will make those updates, because I know that for basements and stuff, there are a lot of restrictions around
Mhm.
whether or not you can have a stove down there and things of that nature. That's current code, that you can't do that. He's
Without a-
looking at me
without a
very
permit.
puzzled. Why is he looking at me
Can't
puzzled?
stove in a basement?
No.
I'm sure you can.
I didn't think you could because of some other safety issues around that.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can put dishwashers, microwaves, stuff like that.
I don't know what would prohibit that, but I'll look into it.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, all right. Thank you very much. If there are no further comments, I will close this public hearing portion of the meeting, and the time is now 7:50. And may I have a motion to approve ordinance number 1100, an ordinance of the town of Mead, Colorado, approving the certain amendments to the Mead Municipal Code establishing development standards for accessory, good Lord, dwelling units and application submittal requirements.
I move to approve ordinance number 1100, ordinance of the town of Mead, Colorado, approving text amendments to the Mead Land Use Code 16-1-140 miscellaneous, section 16-1-150 definitions, and sections 16-3-40 use regulations.
A second.
Thank you very much. Roll call, Melissa.
Trustee Crane,
Yes.
trustee Adams,
Yes.
trustee Cartwright,
Yes.
trustee Shranz.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Motion carries. We have no further general business, so this brings us to our second regular public comment period, which would be for any items, whether they are on the agenda or not. We will follow the same guidelines previously stated. I will call on individuals in the order which they have signed in. Again, I ask all speakers and audience members to treat one another with respect and dignity. Melissa, is there anyone signed up for this public comment?
Yes.
Okay.
Brian Fessler.
All right, sir, you have the podium.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Board of Trustees. My name is Brian Fessler. I reside at 16927 McKay Drive in the Highlands Mead Metropolitan District. I have the honor of serving as the president of that district, and I'm here tonight in the capacity representing 200 homeowners and fellow Mead residents. It's been about a month since I last updated you regarding the $1.6 million in estimated repairs and completion work required for Phase 1 public improvements before the town can grant final acceptance. Following my update last month, the town attorney stated that, quote, "There are some problems with landscaping and the district is continuing to work independently on enforcement remedies that they may pursue independently against the developer," unquote. And also stated, quote, "That's something that we can look at, but ultimately this is going to be an issue for the district as an independent governmental entity to resolve," unquote. These statements are not accurate, and I hope the town attorney will clarify the record. While landscaping has been part of the discussion, the issues extend well beyond landscaping and involve all Phase 1 public improvements, including roads, sidewalks, the box culvert bridge, and related infrastructure. The central issue is that these public improvements remain incomplete and have not received final acceptance by the town, which places them within the town's authority for acceptance and warranty enforcement, not the district. To protect public health, safety, and welfare, and to prevent further deterioration of the infrastructure, the district has incurred approximately $253,000 in costs to maintain these improvements. The district's board determined that these actions were necessary to address safety concerns, reduce potential liability exposure, and mitigate additional damage that could occur if maintenance was deferred. The district expects reimbursement through the enforcement actions by the town. Even though final acceptance has not occurred, these improvements exist and are used by the public on a daily basis, creating potential liability if they're not maintained. In effect, the town's lack of enforcement has forced 200 Mead residents to temporarily cover the cost that should be borne by the developer. The town attorney mentioned that he only recently became aware of the situation, and I appreciate that. I just met the town attorney tonight. He's a wonderful gentleman. However, the town itself has been aware of these deficiencies for years. It's anywhere from 2 to 4 years, depending upon which conditional acceptance you look at as far as the expiration dates. 2 to 4 years. This is not recent. And to date, no enforcement action has been taken by the town. On February 25th, I met with the town manager, another wonderful lady, to review the situation in detail over coffee. She has a much better understanding and appreciation and is fully aware of the lack of enforcement on the developer by the town. She suggested that I contact the town attorney directly. I took her up on her suggestion. Thank you, Helen, for that. I subsequently sent a formal letter on February 26th to the town attorney with copies to you, Madam Mayor, all the Board of Trustees, the town manager, and the town engineer who I just saw tonight. In that formal letter, I requested that the town take specific enforcement actions under the subdivision improvement agreement and applicable town code. Specifically, number one, issue a formal written demand to the developer requiring the completion of all final punch list items for phase one and set a clear, specific, and enforceable deadline for compliance. It's been too long, 2 to 4 years. We need a date when these improvements are going to be done. And two, draw upon the developers letters of credit and remit $253,000 to the district due to the developer's default and establish a formal process for monthly reimbursement to the district for any ongoing maintenance and repair cost incurred prior to final acceptance by the town. I'm not naive. This process is going to take a little more time. But each month that we wait, the district incurs additional expenses that should be borne by the developer. Someone's got to pay for it. We can't let everything die in our subdivision. We have a duty of care, but it's not our responsibility. It's the town and the developer. We have no enforcement over that developer until final acceptance by the town. I want to make sure that's absolutely clear. It's past time for the town to act. 200 Mead residents deserve updates and meaningful action. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Fissler, for being here and for taking the time to stay with us all night. So thank you very much, sir, for being, and we'll be in touch. So thank you very much. All right. Is there anyone else present that would like to comment at this time for the second public comment?
Don Smith, 325 Main Street. I want to comment tonight on the scooter hinge, the whole situation we just saw play out earlier with you guys calling executive session for reimbursement through Mira. I find it quite insulting, actually, to Ed. He's an elderly guy, he comes in here, and you want to say 20% he should get paid. The building was froze for 9 months under fraudulent pretext when most all of you on the board, he stood in front of you and asked for help, and none of you helped him. And none of you, for 9 months, it sat there. And then it was dropped because the guy that put all the fraudulent charges was finally released by Helen a year later. It was really insulting that you said 20% is all he should get. Thank goodness that guy on the end said 100%. They spent $2.5 million on that building, 1.2 buying that building, another 1.2 or 1.3 refabbing that building instead of scraping it off. You all should be shameful for not helping him, and least of all, making fun of 20% in the hallway was a joke. That's why this board needs to go.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the board tonight? All right, we'll move on to our legislative update by our town attorney, Marcus Muscaskin. Sir, you have the floor.
Is that on now? Okay. Thank you, Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees. I will try to be somewhat brief because I know we have another agenda item that was added to discuss economic development. So today, March 9th, day 55 of the 2026 session. So we're about halfway through the legislative session this year. I just want to quickly highlight three land use related bills that we're continuing to track. One is the Home Act, which I've mentioned on a couple of prior occasions. This is House Bill 26-1001. This is one of the bills that would, again, preempt local land use authority. This is the bill that would allow, via an administrative approval process, the construction of residential development without limitation on the number of dwelling units, so long as the proposed project does not exceed 3 stories or 45 feet in total height on parcels of 5 acres, on parcels of 5 acres for properties owned by a nonprofit organization, a nonprofit educational organization, a school district, a state college or university, a housing authority, or a local or regional transit district. This bill, the Home Act, has already passed the House and last week passed the Senate Local and Government Housing Committee. So that's the first land use bill. The second one I'd like to briefly highlight is House Bill 261114. This is an allowed minimum lot size for subject jurisdictions. This would prohibit subject jurisdictions from requiring a minimum lot size of greater than 2,000 square feet for single-family development. This bill, if passed, would be effective on October 31st of 2031. So it's intended to be effective at least 5 years out in the future if it is effective. The bill would also prohibit restrictions on lot frontage, setbacks, and lot dimensions if these restrictions have the practical effect of preventing single-family homes from being built. This bill has passed the House, and it has been assigned to the Senate Local Government and Housing Committee. Finally, House Bill 261308. This is another land use related bill, lot splitting. Approval by subject jurisdictions. This would require municipalities within MPOs, and as you heard our planning director mention earlier, you are within an MPO because you're within Dr. Cog's boundaries. So it would prohibit, or rather require municipalities to approve lots that are at least 2,000 square feet in being split. So it would require that you can split a lot that's located within a single family zone district to create 2 lots. It would require those to be split either 50-50 or 60-40. So the smaller lot, if the primary lot is split, cannot be smaller than 40% of the primary lot. If passed, this bill would require these changes to be implemented by December 31st of 2027. This bill was introduced on March 2nd of 2026, and it has been assigned to the House Transportation, Housing, and Local Government Committee. Finally, I'll just mention that the bill that we worked on, or that we encouraged Representative Slaw to assist with introducing, the bill related to disconnection in statutory municipalities, has been assigned House Bill 1253. That's scheduled to go in front of the committee on this Thursday, 3/12. I do have a couple of other bills that are not land use related that are highlighted in the State House report that came out today, but I think all of you probably received those as well, but happy to stand for any questions.
Day 55, questions and comments for Marcus.
So the second one you were talking about where they can split a lot into 2,000 square.
Well, there's two bills there. One is a minimum lot size bill. So it would prohibit subject jurisdictions from requiring anything greater than a 2,000 square foot lot
right?
size
And
minimum.
Another one will let you split a lot 40-60, but it doesn't have a minimum, doesn't have like a minimum size requirement
As
for that.
far as I know,
40?
it does. As far as I know, it does not. It just requires municipalities to permit the administrative splitting of a residential lot into 2 smaller lots via the administrative process. But as far as I know, and I can review that proposed bill in additional detail, but I don't believe it has a lot size minimum in this initial draft that's been submitted.
So if a developer comes and they give us a PUD and we've approved this PUD and all of a sudden this law passes and they're like, oh, we're going to wait and sit on this PUD then. And then when that becomes effective in 2027, they're like, guess what? We're going to split all these lots in half. Is that legit? They could do that? Like, why bother having jurisdictional control if a developer can basically do whatever the hell they want? That's insane.
Well, I think that's why CML is very much.
That's why they're opposing it.
this
I'm just
bill.
trying to figure out what the hell these.
But there's
people are
also a lot
thinking.
of the issues of just how do you provide the necessary infrastructure, and how do you plan for the appropriate transportation roadway impacts when I mean, because you plan all of your municipal infrastructure with certain assumptions based on overall density. So I mean, this would essentially throw some of that out the window.
Yeah, that's insane.
And Marcus, can you then split the splitted lot? I mean, could you then go to quarters and eighths? Like, because you've created two legal lots, could those next two lots split, like daisy chaining?
Well, I mean, I'll have to review the actual bill in more detail, but I mean, at some point, you end up with a postage stamp that would be unbuildable, right?
Right.
So there has to be there's got to be some limit on that. Well, but even just think about a 2,000 square foot lot. I mean, that is incredibly small. I think right now, I think I'd probably defer to the community development director, but I think I think a 4,000 or 5,000 square foot lot might be about the smallest we've ever seen proposed. Uh, but anyway, 2,000 is very, very, very tiny. But again, this is the state trying to address what this is a perceived solution to the affordability crisis that we have in the state right now.
Thank you so much.
Just
All right. Any other questions or comments? Yeah, thanks. All right. Move on to elected official reports. Any of the town trustees have anything to report? Okay, I don't either. And so we will move on to what? Is that a yes?
I don't know where you're going to move on to.
To the workshop agenda item.
I didn't-
Okay, no, it was on my list.
He's on top of it.
It's all right. Okay. I will turn the mic over to trustee Schranz to bring up the amended agenda item for this evening, and I will turn it over to him to talk.
Thank you. Start dealing with some long-term strategy for the town meeting. Myself and a couple of other trustees have been talking about this for a long time. And I know that you all know that I continue to push to have this thing, but we seem to come up with so many excuses on why we keep kicking the can down the road. But something happened this last week that really, really concerned me. And what that was that in a lot of our discussions, we had talked about bringing in some big box stores. And I was using as an example and was strongly behind Lowe's. And I just found out that Frederick is now entertaining Lowe's. And frankly, that pissed the hell off. I just lost it at that point because it's an opportunity that we could have, we should have, but we didn't have. And I think we just need to start moving forward on these because we're going to continue to lose these opportunities and there's not going to be anything for us to pick from when the time comes. Economic development, I think, is extremely important for the town. With all due respect, I don't think that we've had a lot of significant focus on it. I think it's time to put focus on economic development. I think residential development is another area that needs a lot of focus, i.e. some of the stuff we just talked about. And how is the town going to deal and handle with some of that stuff? To me, those are long range strategic planning kinds of things that says we're going to have an economic development plan. We're going to execute it. This is how it's going to work. We're going to put timeframes around it. We have to do all of those things. And we frankly have not been successful at getting that done. And for the lack of being a jerk, I'm pushing hard to get that done. It's become a very important thing. We need to look 3-5 years out for the town of Mead, not next week or next month. We need to really be out there and we need to have a plan, and it needs to be a plan that's developed by us working closely with staff. It needs to be a plan that gets disseminated to the public. I have proposed that we do numerous town halls after we have a plan put in place to sell the idea to the community, get the community behind it. We need to talk about the comprehensive plan, how that fits in, where it fits in, when it fits in. We need to talk about funding and revenue generation and how does that work and where does that play out. For example, Frederick is toying around with a $15 million incentive to Lowe's. How does that translate to something for us? What can we do with something like that? How can we handle anything like that? Can we? Should we? How do we do it? We haven't had any of those kinds of discussions. It's just been motherhood and apple pie kinds of stuff. We need to bring it down to the ground and we need to get it down on paper. So I again, I'm soliciting the board to get behind this. Let's get some meetings in place. I know it can be disruptive at times, but damn it, that's what our job is all about. Let's get the meetings in place. I've got some agenda items that most of you have seen already, but we can start the discussion, we can start the conversations and start getting stuff down on paper, and have a plan. And I would like personally, from a time frame standpoint, have that plan developed by late August at the latest, so that we can use September for community town halls and community information input. We may have numerous town hall meetings. We got a beautiful community center. It's ideal for just that kind of stuff. And we should use it for that. So again, I am soliciting help from each of you to help support getting that thing done. I think when we had a discussion with Helen, we had talked about having a session after the meeting on March 30th to begin the strategy discussions. We also discussed that our retreat in April should be focused on strategy, and keep moving forward. So I would like, again, support for that in order to make all that happen. Thank you for your time. I know I get passionate about stuff like this, but it becomes very important to me.
Comments, discussion.
I'll comment.
I support that 100%. Something we've talked about for quite some time. It's time we get some movement on this and quit playing around with it.
Okay.
I mean, I agree, but and I don't disagree that strategic planning is a good idea, but I do. Everybody around here hates it when a new housing development pops up. They don't want more houses. They don't want more houses. Quit with building all the houses. A Lowe's, a Target, a whatever are not going to come here without frickin' houses. And so it's this balancing act that we have to listen to of everyone complaining that they don't want more frickin' houses, but a Lowe's is not going to come. Even a King Supers, we even know even a Hayes won't come here until we hit a certain population threshold. So I feel like it's like this uphill battle of everybody wants everything, but then they don't want certain things, but they want this, but they don't want that. But then they want, I mean, it's like, it's incredibly frustrating and annoying. And I get it. $15 million incentive for Lowe's, that's more than our entire annual budget. How do we compete with that? What did Firestone give to American Furniture Warehouse? $7 million in incentives to come there. I don't even know what they're giving them for Target. I think I heard like 4 million for the Target, something like that.
Well, what are they getting back?
I understand that, but it's hard to justify those things when people won't even get behind real necessities like a police station. So I don't know. I just want to say that I agree strategic planning is important, but I guess I have a really hard time saying, let's go recruit Lowe's. Let's go recruit these companies. They don't want to come here yet. We're not big enough. And they are planning these things 5 and 10 years out. They know where they're going to go fairly accurately. Ask Chris. They know where they're going to go a long ways out based on population predictions. And so I mean, do we waste staff time going and pitching ourselves to these companies when they're already getting ready to build here, there, and based on other populations? It's a hard balancing act, and it's frustrating as from the perspective of a board member because of the opposite things that you hear from all the people in this town.
I understand. It is hard. It is a hard thing. But that doesn't mean you don't try.
Well, no,
You gotta figure out a way to round some of these things, and there are solutions. Every problem has a solution. Just gotta sit down, roll up our sleeves and figure out what that solution is gonna be. And that's what we haven't done. Haven't just sat down and identified your issues and then said, what can I do for that? What can you do for that? How can you do that? Okay? How can I bring development and retail together? Can you bring them together? And I think you can. I think other towns have. I know Castle Rock did an excellent job of that 10 years ago. And look where Castle Rock is today. So I know that there are solutions to problems, but we need to, one, put the problem on the table and then attack it and figure out a way to get a solution. Otherwise, it'll never get done on its own. It's not this, FM just doesn't work. That's like magic.
So we've had economic developer here before in the past. And there were some big things that were on the table that were going to come to me that could not be discussed until a certain point, as we know how the process works. We had people that derailed that. So it didn't happen. But there are opportunities out there for the type of area that we have being situated where we're at on main corridors. There are things that would love to come here, but we have got to go out and get them. So my suggestion is we have an economic developer. That's what they're being paid for. That's what they're supposed to do. And if we don't know that it may not be a Lowe's, but it may be a Lowe's, but we don't know, like you said, what we are supposed to do because we don't even know how far off the mark we may be until we sit down and talk to them. And then if we sit down and talk to them and say, well, we're not going to look there until you have this population, or you're going to have this demographic, or you're going to have this many cars going through this intersection, whatever it may be, we've got to figure out what that is so that way we can know what we've got to hit. But until we know, we don't know. We've got to get some movement on something because we're just talking and talking and talking and nothing is happening, yet everything else around us is getting built up. We know it's going to happen here. We can't stop it. That's the problem. But I'd rather be able to strategically put things where we want that than just millie it around. We've already had one that wanted to build out that whole corner over here off of 7 or off of Walker and 7 there. And they wanted to put another truck stop in. And we're like, heck no. And I don't think they've been back since then, but it's like they had this whole grandiose plan. We don't need another truck stop. We don't need another gas station. We need things that are really going to contribute revenue to this town. And until we start talking that way, we're not going to get there. And we can't keep putting taxes on the people.
Trustee Cartwright.
It's funny because I totally agree. I think we need some sort of strategic plan. When the Welker, 3rd and Welker intersection was planned out, nobody ever thought we would need it until today, when virtually everybody had to go through that intersection in order to get around the accident on I-25. And then all the complaints came, well, why did they shut down the frontage road? We can't think of everything that's going to happen, but we have to at least think of something that's going to happen. And we have these big pockets of space that are available for people to come in and build stuff. I think our dilemma is people don't understand that we actually want development to come in, that we want them here. There's some reputation that the town has of being incredibly difficult to work with and making things harder than they have to be. But I think we've kind of started to smooth that over a little bit. But 5 years ago, I approached In-N-Out about bringing In-N-Out to our corner up here, 66. And they said, no, because there's not enough traffic. There's only 85,000 cars a day. You think there's 85,000 cars on 119 going past Costco every day? Nah, not even close. But they didn't see us as a viable opportunity. I think our strategic planning has to be look at what we have and get that out into the people. But we need to know what we want to put there. So I agree, Herman, that we need to figure out what we want so that we can go and approach these places and say, yeah, we have this opportunity. We want you to come to us. What will it take? Instead of, we want you to come to us. End of story. Because they're not going to come. They just have no desire to be here. They look at it as a bad opportunity. So, I've reached out to a bunch of different companies, and basically the response I get, although the latest one I reached out to did not give me that response, is you're not viable because you have an on and an off ramp, but there's other stuff there. Yeah, you have a lot of houses and everything, but you can't get to us from those houses. It's we have to start to clear that path. And I think we're going to start to do that. And we need some sort of plan of what we need, where we need it. But I will also say we all work. I mean, most of us work. So planning it on a day when we have a job to do for someone else, we've got to think about that also.
Saturdays. Unattractive, but yet attractive. Yeah. Because people are available and not an impact, or an after the meeting, this kind of stuff. It's the only time that we can get together and begin. But we need to get the ball rolling. We just need to get a stake in the ground. We need to begin to move it forward. We're going to have challenges as you go down, and we'll address these challenges as we come up to it and move forward. But I just think at the end of the day, it's important that we have a strategy, that we can tell the town, here's where we think we're going to go, here's why we're going to go there, and here's how we can get there, and solicit their support, because you're going to need their support, clearly need their support. So it's just getting that thing started. So I guess what I am hearing is that everybody at this point is okay with a March 30 start date after our regular meeting.
Do you have any comments or discussion or points? Anything you want to bring? It's okay.
Oh, well, I'd just like to start off by, I'm pretty tired tonight. We went over a lot of things, and I do look forward to bringing a fresh brain to this topic in the April retreat. But to go back to your, we all have jobs to do. My job is busier on the weekends, more specifically Saturdays, than any day of the week. So that's what makes it especially hard for me. I mean, my job is not a typical job. But I do agree that we do need to have a plan. I just want to bring a fresh brain to it in April to start that discussion. Me, because I'm tired. I'm tired tonight. I want to bring my fresh brain on April. Yes.
Well,
But he's supportive.
yes, but to comment on that, and that's fine, and that's fair, and that's all okay. And, my experiences with strategic planning and stuff like that, you're not always going to have the full body there at every meeting. And that's okay, because you're not making decisions. You're just moving the ball forward, and it's easy to catch up. So if you were to miss a meeting for some reason, it wouldn't be much for you to come to the next meeting and catch up where we're at. So it's not critical that 7 of us are there all the time. 5 of us, we get a lot of ideas out. And that's all that the strategic planning is about, is getting the ideas, getting them on the wall, see what's going to stick. And then when you come down to the final presentation piece, that's when you need all 7 people there to say, okay, here's everything that's been discussed. Here's the direction. This is why, this is how much, this is who, where, all those questions get answered. And then you come down to accepting it collectively as our plan. And that's what I think is important. So I do appreciate both you, Chris, and Jeremiah, your other commitments. I'm okay with that. I don't have an issue. I'm not demanding that you change your life and do that. But I want to have those meetings. And if you're able to come and you want to come participate, great. If you can't come, understand, right? And that's okay. And we just keep the ball moving forward. We're never going to get 7 of us all the time together. Look how much trouble we're having to get 7 of us to talk to one meeting. So we'll never, sure as hell, never get all 7 of us together. But the majority, if they can come in and we can kick the can down the road, then I'm all over that. That's a start for me. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Herman.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for the discussion. All right.
So we're going to put March 30th on the agenda? For the March 30th?
Yeah,
meeting?
we'll just,
Yeah, thank you.
okay. It's 8:24. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please, Melissa.
Trustee Cartwright,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
Trustee Schranz.
Yes.
Trustee Hagan. Trustee Crane,
Yes.
Trustee Adams,
Yes.
Trustee Whitlow.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. I called you Mary early, so the March 9th, 2026 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees is now adjourned at 8:25. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us and staying late. And for both meetings, thank you, staff, for doing everything that you've done for us. And thank you, everybody online tonight. Thanks. Bye.